Show America how vigorous I am. Whoops. What the hell? Aw, screw it. I swear the Russians hacked the stairs. Yay, I did it. They should really install one of those elevator chair things.
Keeps, gets a block, takes off, and he is gone. Trying to stay upright, and he trips. Absolutely all alone, and he trips. Going to the end zone and ends up carrying it as it is for 80.
Look at how he steps and look how I step. Watch how I run up ramps and he stumbles down ramps, okay? Come on.
Clap for that, you stupid bastard. 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 Come on. Come on. Come on, man.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
Joey, up the stairs, but watch out for that sniper fire! No, get down! They're still shooting! Get down! Just fucking with you. Get up, you dumb bastard. Head on up the stairs, turn around, salute the Marines, and do it this time, don't say it! Good boy, Joey, now get in the plane. Jesus Christ.
Let me scoot up these steps and show America how vigorous I am. Whoops. What the hell? Aw, screw it. I swear the Russians hacked the stairs. Yay, I did it. They should really install one of those elevator chair things.
Gets a block, takes off, and he is gone. Trying to stay upright, and he trips. Absolutely all alone, and he trips. Going to the end zone and ends up carrying it as it is for 80.
Look at how he steps and look how I step. Watch how I run up ramps and he stumbles down ramps.
You're listening to the Token and Hobbs Show on the Roads to Liberty Network.
Welcome, everybody. I hope you enjoyed our pre-show entertainment, watching Mr. Joe Biden stumbling, rumbling, bumbling up a flight of stairs, not quite making it all the way. You know what? I should feel bad laughing at an old man trying to climb up a set of stairs, but I don't. I don't feel bad at all, and I don't feel guilty about not feeling bad. How you doing, my buddy Hobbs?
Not too bad. It's another glorious Tuesday evening.
And I am under another Facebook ban, so this is live on YouTube. You know, we got to figure out how to do live streaming to Minds or MeWe or something other than Facebook, because Facebook is a big, giant bitch, and I don't give a fuck about Facebook anymore.
Yeah,
Such
that's a shame. Such a shame because that's where our biggest audience is at. I shared the video to the page. I don't know if anybody's watching it over there or what's going on. So
Well, we'll see. We'll see. But welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on another exciting episode of the Token and Hobbs Show here on the Think Liberty Network. That is think-liberty.com. Or if you want to buy some of our fantastic merchandise, like you see me wearing, or this nice coffee mug that I am drinking out of, that is Rhodes, the number 2, liberty.com for some fantastic shirt designs and an awesome coffee mug. Get on that. Rhodes the number 2 liberty.com. And if you are like us and you see that Facebook is being a little bitch, we do have alternative social media sites we are on. We are on Parler, although I don't use that one very much. I am starting to use Twitter a lot more. Right, we are using the Twitterverse. We'll see how long that goes before we start seeing bans on that too. Instagram is our second largest platform, and MeWe. So if you're on MeWe, go ahead and get on that. Get on that and start seeing our last stuff once the Facebook gods decide that we're no longer worthy to exist on their platform, because that's coming one of these days. And if you're listening to the show, subscribe to us on YouTube, right? Go to youtube.com/Rhodes the number 2 Liberty to see these episodes live every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Central. So,
I just not really yet. I can't wait until the Trump social media platform kicks off, because I think, and not just because it's the Trump social media platform, I think that as soon as that thing drops, we need to have a page on there. Get in on the bottom floor, become one of the biggest ones on the hugest social media platform ever, possibly ever.
What's it even going to be called? Can you even? What's the best name you can think of it for that now?
OrangeManOnly.com.
OrangeManOnly.com. Brilliant. No, it'll just be called Fantastic, the Best, Bigly. That's what it's gonna be. Just an amazing thing. And it surprises me that he's deciding to go that route instead of just having a Parler account. Like, why make your own? Parler will want you there. Just go over there and use theirs. It's like the same thing as Twitter.
I know that really kind of blows my mind too, because one, he'd be welcome over there with open arms. Two, one of the main investors is Dan Bongino, which is like his number 1 fan. And Dan Bongino's taken over Rush Limbaugh's time slot too. So,
yeah,
it would make perfect sense to just go over to Parler instead of investing the money and infrastructure into making your own. So who knows? Maybe he just wants to be able to put his name on it.
He wants his own thing. I mean, that's what the Trump brand is. That's what it's been most of his life, just putting his name on things. That's not a bad gig to have. You just put your name on top of a skyscraper, a hotel, a casino, a golf course, Trump this, Trump that. Now, Trump social media, right? I mean, first of all, good luck. You better have your own servers for that, Mr. Trump.
We can afford it.
You certainly can. Remember, that's why I was suggesting back when Parler got taken down that Trump just, invest in Parler, buy them some servers, and use their platform. But apparently he didn't want to go that route. He wanted to go the I own everything route. So I guess good luck with that.
Yep.
I
can tell you that this will probably be the death knell of not probably Parler too.
Yeah.
If Trump doesn't have a diversified social media presence, if he doesn't open his own Parler, he just goes straight into whatever it is that he's making, then all of his fans that live over on Parler are going to dump her and jump right into only oranges or Orange Man OrangeManGood.com.
OrangeManGood.com. That's a good one. We should do that. I want the app
Orange
is
Man
just
Best.
the app's just going to be a picture of an orange. I don't know. Where's that Trump ball that we used to use for our memes? It was just an orange with his hair and eyes on it. That's going to be the picture for the app.
Yeah. I think he should just embrace it. The Orange Man Bad meme was kind of like co-opted by people on the right. It's a very common saying, Orange Man Bad, Orange Man Bad. So I think he should just lean into it.
You know what?
Orange Man Good.
You know what cable news channel I saw for the first time the other day? Have you ever actually seen Newsmax like live?
No, I've seen clips and stuff, but never.
It is dreadful. It is like the most sycophant. It is just as bad as like MSNBC, but for conservatives. Like
Really?
it's everything that lefties think Fox News is. Like it really is that bad. And they got like some slick production, but it's all just surface level stuff. Like you see their hosts come up and they're like, "Oh, Donald Trump, I love him so much." Oh, I'm like, "Oh my God, you guys are like super obvious about this. You're not even trying to hide it, right?" At least Fox News has the decency to try to pretend that they're not in the tank. I mean, you're essentially just MSNBC for the right.
Yeah. Silliness.
Absolutely silliness. Well, I mean, Donald Trump getting out of Twitter might have been one of the best things for him, seeing as Twitter is a complete cesspool. I mean, me diving into Twitter the last few months because Facebook keeps seeing fit to ban me for no good reason. It's funny because you keep seeing things trending on that platform that just make no sense or are actively infuriating. For example, hashtag life without men would be, and then you're supposed to finish the sentence. That was trending on Twitter yesterday. And it's all the usual suspects, a bunch of overweight, colorful hair women talking about how awesome life would be if all those filthy, disgusting men just didn't exist anymore. And I'm sitting here going, hey, doesn't Twitter have like strict rules against like discriminating speech and hate speech and stuff like that? Like you can get banned from Twitter for using the wrong pronouns for a person, but life without men can be trending on the same platform. It's amazing, and it's funny to see that trend at the same time that hashtag Asian Lives Matter trends, as though there's no Asian men out there at all. Like, oh yeah, we love Asians, just not the Asian men. Asian women, A-OK. Asian men, boo. And it just goes to show you, because I mean, it's just not just, those filthy, dirty white men that are encompassed in this hashtag. What about all the Black lives that we're pretending matter, huh? Like half of them are men too. Life without men? What about George Floyd? You're living life without him, but you don't seem so happy about that. It's as though if you're gonna be racist, you better be a sexist as well, because that's the only time that it's acceptable.
Yeah. So my whole thing is like life without men would be one generation followed by extinction.
It wouldn't even last. You're being very optimistic. You're assuming that without men, they could last an entire generation.
Oh, snap. Not going to be able to step on those spiders and open those pickle jars by yourself, whammon.
I mean, I love it. Like, I assume that most of these women typing this hashtag are doing so from within a heated shelter. Who do you think built your house? Like, who do you think paved your road? Who picked up your trash?
Right.
Who does all the menial jobs that you don't even think about that make your life livable?
I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I don't know what it was this morning when I woke up and I was getting ready to go to work. How awesome it would be to have like a undercover camera type thing at a job fair on like a college campus, where you set up your booth, and it's like you either you dress or you present yourself as some type of like third wave feminist or whatever, and you have your booth set up to be advertising like these are male dominated high paying career fields. Get over here and defeat the patriarchy and whatever.
Oh God.
You'd get some colored haired weirdos coming over, and one, it's like, oh yeah, this salary is X number of dollars a year. That sounds great. Yeah, it comes with benefits, and you get great health care and dental plan and vision plan. Oh yeah, sounds great. Yeah, and the worst part of all is that it's 99% dominated by men. It's like, oh, what is the job? It's like, how would you like to be a trash collector for the city? Oh, I don't want that.
Oh, wait. Oh, no. No, you got to be a construction worker. You're going to go around and build houses.
Yeah, you build houses. Or how would you like to be a grave digger at the graveyard or something, because the pay for those jobs is pretty good. How would you pretty good.
How would you like to maintain sewers?
Yeah.
Climb down into a sewage drain and maintain those things.
Or how would you like
probably
to be,
make good money?
How'd you like to the person that like works in an iron foundry or something, wearing a Mylar suit in 200-degree temperatures for 8 hours? Coal miner. Yeah, these are all high paying, great benefits, overwhelmingly male dominated jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I used to pick up trash at a limestone mine, not too far from where I live. And every single person I saw there working in the limestone mine was a man. So get on that, feminist. You go beat the patriarchy. Go dig up some limestone.
We got about 60 people that work at the job that I work right now. There's only 2 women, and both of them work in the office. All of us manual laborers are men. Adam says, how about iron workers? Iron workers as well. Like, here's the point we're trying to make, guys. Right? We're not trying to disparage women. We're not trying to say that men are superior to women or blah, 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 blah. Right? What we're trying to say is that life without men would be very, very difficult for the women left behind. Right? And this is discounting the fact that most women have men in their lives that they actually love and care about. Right? Like, I made a point. I saw this hashtag trending, and I posted a pic of my son, and like, life without men would be a life without him. His life matters. Men's lives matter. And I'm sick of seeing all these stupid ass feminists pretending that life would just go, without men, there'd be no wars. Fuck do you mean there would be no wars? Like, if you're pretending that women have never been in charge of countries before. I mean, how do you think Russia got so big? You know who made it so big? A woman named Catherine the Great. She conquered the Russian empires. Don't tell me there'd be no wars without women. Oh, without men, there'd be no crime. No, without men, you're like, oh, I could go on a walk at night without men being around. No, there wouldn't be a sidewalk for you to walk on without men. What the hell are you even talking about? Yeah, and North Carolina hurricane hunter, I think that's our buddy Rick, North Carolina. He said there's an emerging trad woman trend happening, seeing it on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. Yes, that is a direct pushback to the rainbow-haired weirdos over at third wave feminism. Something that Ben brought up a while back in one of our streams was that these young Gen Z kids that are coming up, they go one of 2 directions. They're either the Antifa communists, or they're the trad kids that are trying to go back to the 1950s. They go one of those 2 directions, and they go hard in those directions. You will find no gray ground with these Zoomers. It's all in.
We were talking before we started the show about this question that was going around social media. Who do you think is a better role model? Cardi B or Candace Owens? Right? And I remember looking at this picture when I saw it for the first time and thinking, it's an interesting question. I've got a 1-year-old daughter. Who would I rather her grow up to be like? Or who would I rather her look up to as a role model? Cardi B, a singing, dancing hoe whose most famous song is about the moisture of her genitals, who, by the way, drugged and robbed men, or Candace Owens, a conservative. Let me think about that. I think I'd rather her be a conservative than Cardi B. I mean, call me crazy, but I don't hate conservatives with a blinding passion the way a lot of people do. I mean, maybe that's just me growing up in a conservative household with most of my family still being fairly conservative. But you know what? As much as I don't like Candace Owens, and she has some really bad takes a lot of times, not the most terrible person in the world. And I would much rather my daughter grow up to look up to her than Cardi B. But that's just the Nazi in me talking, of course.
Yeah, this is an argument that's gone back to the Reconstruction South, all the way back to the Civil War, when you had two lines of thinking as far as where the now freed slaves were going to go. You had the W.E.B. Du Bois school of thought, and you had the Tuskegee school of thought, where W.E.B. Du Bois, he was saying that he called them the talented 10th, where 10% of the black population should be given all of these resources in order to distribute them out to the rest of the black population, and that was how they were going to lift themselves up out of state. And then you had Frederick Douglass, or not Frederick Douglass. Ooh, God damn it! Why am I missing this name? This is a very important name. But the guy that started the Tuskegee Institute.
Yeah.
This is embarrassing because this guy is incredibly important, and I'm just pulling a brain fart right now on his name. But his school of thought was that these
George Washington Carver.
No,
that's not. Well, look at Tuskegee founder. That's what it says.
Yeah, it wasn't George Washington Carver. The Tuskegee Institute. But anyways, his school of thought was that we were slaves, now we're freedmen.
Oh, that's it. Booker T. Washington.
Booker T. Washington. Jesus, why did I forget that?
I don't know why. I forgot it too. So.
The guy, he is the most important African American thinker, up to Thomas Sowell and Walter Williams. He is one of the most important, not just African American thinkers, one of the most important thinkers in American history. And his school of thought was that we were slaves, we're freedmen now. We have to work twice as hard to prove that we are not just the fit for laboring in the fields. We need to be farmers so that our sons can be mechanics, so that our grandsons can be doctors. And that was his school of thought. And given everything that's taking place in our culture now, who do you think won?
I don't know, Hobbs.
Yep.
Who do you think won?
Well, considering that Cardi B is a household name and highly influential, and Candace Owens gets shit on the regular, I'd say that W.E.B. Du Bois came out on top of that one, but it didn't have to be that way, and it wasn't that way.
Yeah, I will. I do find it funny that Candace Owens sent out a tweet, and there's a very, very timely tweet saying, "Hey, the people who victimize blacks and Asians the most in this country are not whites." Right? You see this media hysteria about white supremacy, trying to build this problem up to be a million times worse than what it actually is. But her point was, hey, the people who victimize blacks and Asians the most in this country are black people, not whites. It's not white supremacy. This is not a white supremacy problem. right? So why are we trying to pretend that this is a white supremacy problem? And then this Democrat tweeted at her, "Hey, you dropped this," and it was a KKK hood. Like, oh, wow. Very intelligent comment there. You're really adding something to the conversation. Yes, Candace Owens, known white supremacist, right?
Known
The black
Klansman.
woman. She's definitely a Klansman. Just like Ben Shapiro over there at the Daily Wire. He's a very well-known Jewish Nazi. But this is the narrative that we like to push. So let's talk a bit about that now, because there was the recent shooting over in Atlanta. Several Asian sex workers has had the media in a frenzy trying to link this to white supremacy. And it's a terrible tragedy, right? What happened in Atlanta, but it only makes it worse when you try to force feed a narrative into a situation that isn't true. Like you're using the dead bodies of individuals as fodder for your political agenda, just making stuff up. And here's the thing about it. The man who shot those women, he may have had some racial motivations. I'm not saying he didn't. He may very well be a horrible racist. I'm not saying he's not. But we need to work off of the evidence that is available, and all available evidence points to this being a crime directed at sex workers, not specifically at Asians. But we have a narrative that we have to force feed, and the narrative is white people bad, white people evil, white supremacy is on the rise, and we got to fight that. Asian lives matter, right? That's the narrative we got to push. And any facts that run to the contrary of this negative just get completely ignored. For example, what Candace was saying, most crimes committed against Asians in this country are not committed by white people, which is what you'd expect, considering that white people make up the majority of people in this country. You would expect most of it to come from white or other Asians, because that's generally what you see in crime statistics, is people victimizing others of their own race, because that's who they tend to live around.
Yep, it's intra-racial, not interracial.
Exactly. White people tend to live around white people, black people around black people, and Asians live in tight-knit communities a lot of the time too. So most of the time, people of a similar race will commit crimes against each other because that's just who they live around. Yep. That's not true with the Asian community, right? The Asian community is the crimes against Asians, they're tied with white people. But the number one demographic that victimizes Asians in this country are black people, not whites, not Asians. It's black people. Right. But you're never going to hear that on the mainstream media, because that doesn't fit the narrative. Right. That is not the message they want to put out there. They want to put the message out there that this is white people doing it. It's white supremacy. It's Donald Trump's fault specifically, because, every problem we have in this country has to be the big bad orange man who's bad and does bad things. Right. He called COVID the Chinese virus way back in March. And that inspired this man in Atlanta to murder a bunch of women this March, right? I'm supposed to believe that he heard Donald Trump called COVID-19 the Chinese virus a year ago. And he's just been thinking about it this whole time. And this March came around. He's like, man, he's right. Donald Trump is right. I got to go take out some Asians.
Yeah, it just took 365 days of stewing on it for him to finally get up the nerve to go and do it. But yeah, you're right. This whole narrative that they're trying to push, that this country is somehow this white supremacist hellhole, and if you're any type of a minority, then your days are numbered, and you've got to constantly be watching over your back. Things are still pretty Caucasian in this country. White people make up 65 to 70% of the population. minorities were in any type of clear and imminent danger, they'd know it. It's really really weird how things are not nearly as bad as the media would have you believe. And since we're up here talking about like crime statistics and everything, I'm just waiting for the little bar to come down from the top saying that service violations. Anytime you get up there into table 42,
well, that's another thing that annoyed me about that a life without men would be hashtag is I saw a lot of women using crime statistics to justify their bigotry against men. I'm like, oh wow, you're just using the white supremacist argument just in a different context. Like that's what you're doing. Because like a lot of white supremacists will point to crime statistics, be like, see, black people are inherently violent, and you see this crime statistics to prove it. And here you go with a bunch of feminists using that same exact argument to justify their bigotry against, men. Because because most murderers are men, that means most men are murderers. This is just clear logic, obviously.
Yeah. That's statistics 101, man. It's it is pretty astounding to see how these third wave intersectional feminists would, if you brought up the FBI crime statistics in table 42 and you tried to make any kind of argument that white nationalists tend to make with those crime statistics, they would blow a fucking gasket. But they have no problem at all just demonizing 50% of the population using the exact same strategy.
Yeah, and doing it so without a hint of irony either. Like they don't even realize what they're doing.
Yeah, no self-awareness at all.
No, they just do that. That's just the instinct a lot of them have is to hate men, like in just a general blanket hatred of men. And they'll go out searching for reasons to justify their hatred of men. And lo and behold, they're using the same exact reasoning that racists use to hate, whatever race they happen to hate. Of course, it's all a logical fallacy. But, when you're a bigot, it's not like logic and reasoning is even high up in your priority scale.
Yeah, and we had another little shooting spree that happened today. But before we get into it, yeah, it happened yesterday. Adam over here says, "What about Denver's jihad attack?" Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But before we get into that, though, I'd like to bring up something that you brought up in the chat today. That isn't it wonderfully convenient, predictable. That's the word I was looking for. Isn't it wonderfully predictable that now that the Democrats are back in control of our government, that mass shootings have just started again somehow? Crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. It's super weird, and it's weird how the narrative around this one changed on a dime, like that. Right? I want to read a couple tweets by this individual named Amy Siskind. Right, and this is how quickly the narrative switches. Tweet number 1: the shooter was taken into custody. In other words, it was almost certainly a white man. Again, if he were black or brown, he would be dead. Then the news comes out that the man was named Hamad Al-Alawi Alisa. And the tweet that follows this was, "Let's mourn the victims, but not glorify the killer with the intention of having his name widely known." Oh, gee, really? I wonder what changed. Could it be that your white nationalist, white supremacist, white man bad narrative doesn't fit here? And now you are desperate to change topics and steer us away from the shooting because now the attention is not where you want it to be anymore. Wow. How convenient of you that you can just do that without a hint of irony at all.
Yep. Now, the narrative, man, the narrative takes precedent over everything. They have to. And if something throws a monkey wrench into it, can't say monkey wrench. Something throws a monkey wrench into it, they just with, like you said, no hint of irony, no shame. That's the thing. That's the thing that they should be feeling. No amount of shame at all for just turning it on and off like a light switch. That they it's just like, oh well, not a white MAGA guy, so let's just let's focus on the victims. What are the victims?
Yeah, that's
Shooter.
That's what it is. That's what it is. And you know how every couple months, some Democrat page like We Are Liberals or something like that will have a meme going, "We have a white male problem." And they have a series of pictures of white men who committed mass shootings. Like, this is a white man problem. But do you think this guy is going to end up in any of those memes? Do you think this individual is going to be shown out there like, we have a Muslim man problem? No. Because here's the truth about it, right? You know that meme of a cop looking at Peter Griffin and you have a shade scale, like light skin, okay, dark skin, bad. Well, it's when it comes to Democrats and leftists and mass shootings, right? The lighter the skin gets, the narrative goes, we have a white man problem or a white supremacy problem. That's the narrative when you get up to the lighter skin tones. When the skin tones go down, the narrative is not all blank, right? Not all black men, not all Latinos, not all minorities, not all Muslims. That's the narrative when that happens, right? And me and Hobbs, libertarians, perfectly consistent about this sort of thing. If you're a murderer, you're a piece of shit. And it's on you. You are the murderer. It's not indicative of anybody else who happens to share characteristics of you, right? White guy goes and murders a bunch of people. He's a piece of shit. Doesn't mean Hobbs is to blame. If a Puerto Rican goes down to the grocery store, shoots up a bunch of people, what are you blaming me for? Just because I'm a Puerto Rican too? It's not my fault. I've never shot anybody. I have no intention in shooting everybody and never will. Right? I'm a libertarian. I believe in life, liberty, and property, the inherent natural rights of all human beings. Are you going to blame me if some Puerto Rican goes on a shooting? You're going to blame Hobbs? If some white guy goes and kills a bunch of Asian women? No, that's collectivist thinking, right? That's not the way an individualist thinks. And we're libertarians. We're individualists. We hold people accountable for their own actions, not the actions of others.
Yep. Rick down here saying we've been picking on Amy all day. She got the hardest ratio ever. Rick, you're doing the Lord's work, sir.
Who got oh my goodness, it's hilarious. Oh, Adam goes, you're forgetting white Latino. No, I'm not. It's Latinx now, actually. Bigot. Fucking bigots over here. Latino is gendered language. You're not allowed to say that anymore.
Oh, man.
I would just like to point out, if you ever hear someone use the term Latinx unironically, they are not to be trusted. They should probably be thrown out of the nearest helicopter immediately. They are not a human being, right? They're probably an invading alien species. Just get rid of them. Physical removal is justified in this situation.
Hey, yeah, I don't know. You're a little bit younger than me, so you might not remember the pro wrestling. Remember DX when they used to do the X thing? You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't remember that?
No, I mean, I was never much of a pro wrestler guy.
Well, neither was I, but it was a big thing. Great, it was a big thing in pro wrestling. But anyways, I think you should lean in to the whole Latinx thing and just be like, Latinx.
Oh my god. It's so stupid. It's so utterly bizarrely stupid to hear the same people who talk about cultural genocide attempting to rewrite Spanish because it's not trans friendly or some weird shit like that. I don't know. It's weird. Like, that's the Spanish language. It's gendered. There's a lot of gendered languages in the world, right?
Yeah.
And you're trying to rewrite it to make it gender neutral? Like, what?
If you want to challenge and you want to like erase gendered language, try taking on Arabic. Like I tried to learn Arabic on my first deployment, and Spanish is gendered. It's like, A and O as a suffix for words for male and female. That's pretty easy. Arabic has like 6 different suffixes depending on whether it's a singular, a double, or more than 2, and it is a wacky sentence structure, and it is it's very, very, very gendered. Added into that, that's one level of challenge to it. Add into it,
plus they got their squiggly lines in their script.
Yeah, their language looks like people riding in canoes. But the is try to do anything with the Arab world with your third wave feminist nonsense, and your head is gonna.
It's Arabex now. That's what it is. Arabics. That's it, with an X at the end. I will say, however, it was pretty funny. I was on Twitter today, tweeting as I do, and this guy made a very wild claim. He said that the shooter in Atlanta was yelling while he was on his rampage that he wanted to kill all Asians. Right? So I'm like, well, this is new. I haven't heard this before. That's some new information. All right, show me the article. What do you got? And you know what he had? He had an article written in Korean. Like, wow, thanks, dude. This is worthless. What am I supposed to do with this? I go, wow. You might as well have just said, trust me, bro.
Yeah, take your word that it says what it says.
Yeah, and then he had another article. He's like, oh, yeah, and this Mexican guy, he was like, they thought he was the shooter, and they, like, arrested him for the shooting. Here's the article about that, and it's in Spanish. Like, English, dude. I only speak English. Why are you giving me all these articles in foreign languages? I know I'm Puerto Rican, but I don't speak Spanish. I only speak English. If you're going to cite a source to me, make it in English. God's sake.
Yeah, for anybody who's saying that he's the worst Puerto Rican ever, he drinks twice the amount of rum as a normal Puerto Rican just to make up for it.
I really am the worst Puerto Rican ever, though.
White passing.
I'm a libertarian for one, and obviously that makes me a horrible, horrible Puerto Rican. I'm obviously supposed to be a Democrat.
Obviously,
and you know what? I'm the only non-democratic Puerto Ricans are the only kinds of Puerto Ricans it's okay to be racist against. I have been assured of this, and are the only kind who are capable of being racist themselves. I have been assured of this many a time. Like, oh yeah, you're a racist because you're a libertarian. Well, I can't be a racist. I'm a person of color. Oh yeah? Well, you're still a racist because you're not a Democrat. So,
Yeah, Rick over here says this is why the rum is gone. Yeah, fun fact, deleted scene from Pirates of the Caribbean when Johnny Depp was like, "Why is all the rum gone?" Nathan's off-screen drinking rum. That's why.
That's why all the rum was gone.
That's why.
I mean, can you blame me though? Rum is delicious.
It's really one of the only hard liquors that I can stomach in quantity.
See, I can't stand whiskey. Like, I know there's a big thing for a lot of people. A lot of people, big whiskey drinkers. I cannot stomach the stuff. It goes into my stomach and makes me sick immediately. The rum goes down smooth and like, yeah, this is good stuff. Like, I can drink vodka, I can drink tequila, I can drink sake, soju, not whiskey though. I hate whiskey. I know that hurts Ben a little bit on the inside to hear that, because producer Ben, he likes his rum, but no, not for me. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I used to be a tequila guy, and then I just had too much of it. Now the smell of it just turns my stomach.
That's a Jaeger to me. Like, you ever have a Jaeger hangover?
Oh,
It's
many times.
worst. Oh, it's the absolute worst. Right? I because that smell doesn't go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm thinking about it right now. It's making my mouth water and my throat kind of tense up a little bit. Like I could drink Jaeger straight out of the bottle though, but it has to have been in the freezer for a couple of hours, like
Yeah,
ice cold Jaeger.
I used to love Jaeger, but I can't drink the stuff anymore. It makes me sick now. It's like this stuff, ugh. Like, yeah, I used to really like it, but nope, not anymore. I got
Uh,
older. Jaeger bombs are a young man's drink. That's not my thing anymore.
Yep. And the only way I can drink whiskey is in an Irish car bomb.
Ooh, I do like Irish car bombs.
Mm-hmm. But they only got like half a shot of whiskey, so
Yeah, and it's in a whole glass of Guinness,
yeah.
right? So it's not like you're just drinking whiskey. It's like you're having a little bit of whiskey in Guinness, and I love Guinness, so it's like, okay, that's fine. I can do that.
I'll allow it.
All right. Well, we were talking about politics, right? That's what this is. It's a political show. This isn't a show about our favorite hard liquors.
Well, sometimes we have to segue out into some things that are good, just in case anybody out there is wanting to send us a gift of booze.
Speaking of people who are drunk off their asses, how about Congress?
Oh yeah, they're something else, ain't they?
Well, I gotta say, it's I gotta give credit to Congress. They do not let a crisis go to waste. Right? These mass shootings happens like one right after another, and all of a sudden we got to ban all guns. Right? Like this is a thing again. America spent the last year buying every gun they could get their hands on, to the point where it's almost impossible to get ammunition anymore. And now the politicians see all that, and you know what they thought? They thought, we got to put a stop to that. We can't have people owning guns. So here they are. They're coming to rescue us. Joe Biden already called for a assault weapons ban. Yeah, very, very helpful there, Joe Biden. What the fuck is an assault weapon? I don't even know what that means.
Like whatever I want it to be.
Every gun person in the country heard him say that. It was like, assault weapons. What is that? What is an assault weapon? It's not an actual thing. I don't know how many times we have to say this every time the gun control debate comes up. Assault weapon is not a thing, right? You're like, oh, well, what we mean are AR-15s. We're like, what about an AR-15 makes it more deadly than any other rifle? Like, oh, it looks scary and it's black and it takes a magazine. I was like, oh man, you guys really don't know anything about guns, do you?
Yeah, we're preaching to the choir at this point. Anybody who's watching this show right now undoubtedly knows that the whole assault word is exactly that. It's a canard. It's a red herring that they drag down the street to drag people out who are running entirely on emotions when it comes to the firearms debate. I mean, one of the teachers that I had in high school, who was probably one of the only teachers that I actually respected, honest and legitimately thought that you could just go out and buy a machine gun, because he had no idea, the difference between a semi-automatic rifle like an AR-15 and a machine gun like an M16, because they look exactly the same, but they're not the same. And we all know that. But the big problem is that there is a large amount of the population out there that has been propagandized, and we're at the point right now where you can tell that they've told the lie so thoroughly and so confidently that no amount of actual information that you feed these people is going to change their mind. Their minds are made up. Assault, and we got to ban them because reasons. No amount of crime statistics. There was like 400 murders with all rifles last year. All rifles. That's including like bolt action rifles and single shot rifles. All rifles accounted for like 400 murders last year. There were more people killed with blunt objects and hands and last year than there were with rifles. Doesn't matter to these people. You could point out that the AR-15 and the AK and guns like the fastest selling and most prolific rifles in the U.S. market today. Doesn't matter to people like them. You can point out that the highest percentage increase demographic wise in new gun sales last year were minorities and women. Doesn't matter. You can point out the logical inconsistencies between trying to disarm people, which puts the monopoly on the use of force in the hands of police, and the defund the police narrative. Doesn't matter to these people because they're running on pure emotion.
It's the same exact phenomenon that you see in regards to masks. Because the mask thing that a lot of people on the left harp about is not about public safety. It's about feeling morally superior to people who don't believe the way you do, who don't act the way you do, who won't conform with your demands, right? The whole mask thing, if it were really about safety, you would just stay away from people who are not wearing masks, right? Instead of going up to them and attempting to harass them in stores and shit. It's the same thing when it comes to guns. It's not about public safety. It's about the feeling of being morally superior to those evil small dick gun owners who are just trying to compensate for something. Are you seeing that again? Right? Like, oh, they just got small peepees. Ha 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 ha. I'm so clever. I'm the first person to ever come up with that argument. But that's what it is. It's all about having a sense of moral superiority. That's what the entire left is these days, right? So shooting happens, it's white supremacy. I'm not a white supremacist, so obviously I'm good. Oh, shooting happens. Oh, it's the guns that did it. The guns are the reason it happened. And I'm going to ban assault weapons. What's an assault weapon? I don't know. Just ban that scary looking gun over there. That'll do. And when the problem's not solved, right, when that doesn't actually do anything, when another shooting happens, they'll just go on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Because the goal here is not public safety. It's disarmament of you. It's making sure that you can't defend yourself, that you don't have the means to protect yourself, so that you rely on government to do that for you. Right? What do you think they keep sending you checks in the mail for? Right? When all this inflation hits and that check in the mail isn't worth what it used to be, they're counting on you to be relying on them for your next paycheck. Right? It's the same thing with this. Like when this whole last summer was a beautiful example of why private gun ownership matters so much. Because the entire year we saw riots happening all across the country and police forces in metropolitan areas all over the place refusing to step in and protect the lives and property of American citizens. When that happens, the only option you have is to either let the mob kill you or destroy your property, or to defend yourself and defend your property and not allow that to happen. But the government doesn't want you to do that. The last thing the government wants are independent citizens relying on their own efforts to protect themselves and their own property. That is the last thing they want. Because if you can do that against other individuals seeking to destroy what is yours, you can do that against the government. The government fears an armed citizenry that's not just armed, but awakened to the fact that the federal government in Washington, D.C. is their biggest enemy. That's what they don't want you to realize.
Yeah. I had a thought that I posted up on Facebook right before we came out here. I've got like 4 or 5 on my own personal account, which is actually pretty impressive for me. But I consider the gun ownership and the Second Amendment issue to be the ultimate litmus test for a politician, because I'm sure that anybody listening to this right now is familiar with the term democide. For anybody who's not familiar with it, democide is death by your own government outside of a context of a war. The Holocaust was democide. The Holodomor was democide. The killing fields of Cambodia under the Khmer Rouge was democide. It's when a government kills its own citizens when not engaged in a war. Democide is responsible for upwards or over 120 million deaths in the 20th century alone, making a government out of control the most deadly instrument in human history. With that being said, when a politician tells me that they don't trust me with something as relatively benign as a machine gun, that tells me that I should not trust them anywhere near the levers of power of that deadly instrument called government. And that is why gun ownership to me is the most important litmus test for any politician out there.
Yeah, gun ownership defends every other liberty you have. That's what it ultimately exists to do. The founding fathers understood this. They understood that government was the greatest threat to their liberties. And they wanted to ensure that citizens in this country were capable of defending themselves from the tyranny of government. And we are seeing ever encroaching government every day. And things are going to get worse. It's not going to get better, right? You keep seeing trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars spent every few months in brand new spending bills that are supposed to cure all this nation's ills, only for a new one to come back 3-4 months later and telling us that one's going to solve all our ills, right? And it doesn't matter which party you put in power. The same thing happens. What did we see under 4 years of Donald Trump? We saw record spending. We saw the most spending ever in the year 2020, a year that Donald Trump was president. He signed every single one of those spending bills. And now you're just seeing an acceleration of that again under Joe Biden. This country is in for some dark times, some very troubling times. You know, I look at pictures of the Russian Federation these days with dilapidated buildings and old facilities from the Soviet Union that are just left to rot. And I see America's future because America has completely lost the plot. We think that money just comes out of thin air. And if you just keep spending, there's going to be no consequences for it. Dark times are in the future for this country because we can't get our fiscal house in order. And this government knows this. And they know that you will not tolerate them for 1 second longer if that comes to pass. And they have to disarm you before they bring this country crashing to its knees. Because if that happens and you're still armed, a guillotine awaits them.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I think we better end this episode before we get permabanned for YouTube for talking about guillotining politicians as much as they may deserve it.
Right. Before we go, I noticed we got a couple of new commenters over here that I've never seen before. We got Cody Donahue to go up in the chat log a little bit, see that other one that I saw a little bit. Luis Ramirez. Two people that I've never seen comment in our posts before. Thanks for joining us. I don't know how you found us, but we're glad that you're here. Just if you got a couple of minutes, if you're still watching, just let us know how you found us. I don't know if the algorithm kicked you over here or if you're a subscriber or whatever, but thanks for being here and share it and spread the word.
Yeah, absolutely. YouTube is going to have to be the way that people watch us from now on because we're not long for Facebook. I know I'm certainly not long for Facebook. I've been banned more the last 2 months and have actually been able to use the platform. So yeah, Facebook is kind of that's a no for me anymore. I mean, YouTube is not great, but so long as you're a small channel, you can fly under the radar. Problem is we don't want to be a small channel. So if we start getting the kind of success we want, YouTube might be a problem too. But for now, we're good. So hopefully we can keep bringing you fantastic content going into the future. That's going to be it for us tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, think-liberty.com is the website if you want to see all the fantastic episodes. Listen to us on your favorite podcasting app. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Parler, and MeWe, and YouTube. So go like us, subscribe to us, follow us, whatever you do on those platforms. Just make sure you get the latest updates on all Roads to Liberty stuff. All right, Hobbs, you got anything before we call it a night?
No, I don't think so. Let's hear. Yeah, so we got a couple people over here. Rick says TikTok live, YouTube live, Twitter live. Yeah, we might have to start those places. Adam says check out Rumble. Yeah, I've been on Rumble. I've got a Rumble Rumble, the app downloaded on my phone. It bugs, so I don't use it very often. But I said we should probably get in on that one too.
Dude, what are a couple old millennials supposed to do competing with all the Zoomers on TikTok?
I don't know. Blow
I
shit
don't
up.
know. TikTok. I don't know about TikTok. I mean, we have a TikTok, but you're only allowed to put like 1 minute long videos on, and this is a long format, and this is a long form podcast. So splitting it up into little 1 minute videos seems like a lot of work for a lot of Zoomers and who don't deserve our magnificence anyway.
Yeah, Twitch. Yeah, we do have a Twitch channel too. I haven't been on there in a couple of weeks. Lindsay Patram says Twitch. Yeah, I haven't been on there in a couple of weeks, but we do have one.
Man, I just don't game enough to use Twitch. Like maybe I'll hop on Battlefield 1 and Twitch, and I'll just talk about World War I and shit, because I mean, if I'm gonna talk about history while playing Battlefield, Battlefield 1 is where it's gonna be at.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
that's my jam.
I've recently started playing Fallout 4 again.
Yeah,
so,
good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to call it a night. Thanks so much for joining us, and tune in next week for another episode of Token and Hobbs. Have a good one, everybody. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. Here we go.